Tamer Baker's Chief Technology Officer for Healthcare, Government, and Education at Zscaler. Tamer, welcome. Thanks for joining me. What big opportunities that you see for innovation in health IT right now, both on the civilian side, military side, and the federal government? Welcome.
Thanks, Francis. I appreciate you having me on. With the recent signing of the executive order from the president to use more COTS systems, I think is going to generate a lot more opportunity for innovation. I think that's a fantastic way for health systems in the both military and federal space to start using modern technology because, uh, you know, in the past, it's been very difficult especially in the health side of the house to deal with a lot of the medical devices and some of the older systems that are legacy that exist out there. However, commercially, modern technologies exist now to really deal with all these legacy systems while also being able to enable you to do all this modern stuff. So everybody wants AI, everybody wants the next Da Vinci robot, everyone wants all this cool stuff in their systems. But the problem with that is how do you innovate on 20 or 30-year-old technology? We really have to do this modernization. And a good way forward is by leveraging COTS. And that executive order was an exciting thing that I think for us to be able to start using more of that technology now.
So there's two pieces of this that I think are maybe not clear to everybody. One is that COTS doesn't necessarily mean COTS. I think agencies have said, well, we can't do that because we're special and we have unique requirements and so on. COTS doesn't mean that you use it exactly the way that it comes out of the box. Do I understand that concept correctly? There's tailoring, maybe customization's a naughty word to use now, but tailoring is possible for a piece for a COT system. Is that right?
Yeah, so there's this is the beauty of it. There's always been historically some challenges using COTS systems in, military or federal government networks, for example. However, there's been so much innovation over the last several years, especially like let's say the last 5 years, where that innovation allows you to get these systems in place in these unique environments, right? So you don't have to build something custom on your own anymore because these systems now can support these unique environments.
What's the balance between tailoring a COT system to make it work and customizing something into oblivion so that you never really get to the end process, or you wind up with something that turns out to be so clunky that it's not really practically usable?
Well, I think you got to look at what COD systems you're considering because there are many that exist now where the tailoring efforts are minimal because they
Mhm.
can fit into these environments almost right out of the box nowadays. It does not even require that much effort if you're looking at the right ones. Now, there's going to be some things that you're looking at where it's going to be a very heavy lift to get it into your environment, both operationally and human capital, especially, right? We're all constrained on human capital. So you want to try and avoid those and look at the ones that can really seamlessly fit into your environment.
The seamless concept, I imagine, could be potentially challenging for agencies just because of the nature of how many systems touch other systems now. And when you're 25, 50% of the way through a modernization process, you're going to have a new system that touches an old system that may pose some compatibility issues. What are the best ways that you've seen to navigate through those kinds of things, Tamer?
So I think the core of it, actually, you touched on slightly the modernization efforts. So when you're trying to modernize and transform, that's going to be a key element to be able to introduce new things into your environment. So if you look at IT in general, both the network and security elements, right? We can't do IT without security. Um, you have to transform and modernize the way you do IT and security in the first place so that you can add in all these additional innovations and all these different systems because they can plug and play right in very well and easily. So that's, I think, a key component into it is being able to modernize your infrastructure first, infrastructure and security, so that these can plug in a lot easier. And you can do it again seamlessly, even with legacy and older technologies, once you've done that modernization on how you just operate on the network.
What is your sense of what's coming? You've talked about a lot of the progress that has happened over the last number of years that allows these systems to drop into what agencies are doing now. What does that trajectory look like in the out years, or what else is coming behind that that will enable even more progress for agencies in the future, do you think?
One of the beauties that I love about military and federal health is that although it's military and federal, which has always been different compared to other environments, health in general typically see the same things. So if I go to a large health system, a health provider, like, I won't name names, but large major health systems that people know of and go to get treatment, they have the same problems and the same issues that, the VA would have, or the same issues DHA folks would have. It's patient care, number one, that it's all about doing what we can for better patient outcomes and using technologies to make that happen and make the clinicians more successful. So one of the things I think happening in the next 3 to 5 years is that for once, the government and military can start taking a look at how innovative some of these other health systems have been because we're able to get COTS in there the same way and do these modern approaches to technology and infrastructure that'll accelerate our ability to do these innovations. So I think that we're going to do this modernization and transformation efforts, and we've done it already with hundreds of health providers across the globe, for both private, health systems like HDOs, as well as even government health systems in the Five Eyes, like as in Australia, for example. So we've already been able to do that modernization today, and being able to take that and for our own U.S. health and both Fed and DoD health, it should be an easier step for us to be able to get there. And then once we've done that modernization, everything will start accelerating. We can actually leverage things like AI, obviously, is the buzzword of the day, but there are real clinical uses for AI. There are real advancements that help, both from a clinical side and operational side, that I think we can start leveraging more of. But that modernization transformation, I think, is going to take off for the next 3 to 5 years to help us get to a much easier place to innovate even faster.
Final thought, Tamer, are there action items that leaders inside these military and civilian federal organizations should be taking now to be able to fulfill that vision that you just laid out for the next 3 to 5 years?
Honestly, this is kind of a tough pill to swallow oftentimes. But I think from being a former military person myself, it was always hard to look at the civilian world and see what they're doing because we never wanted to follow civilian. We wanted to lead instead, but they have made a lot of advances in the private sector space that I think we should start paying attention to and seeing what they're doing to innovate and transform, and potentially get us to that same level. I think that's, again, it's a hard one to give out as advice because nobody wants to do that. We want to be the leaders, but it is a good idea, I think, to potentially do that.
All right, quick final thought. What's the deal on the mask and the gnome?
So, so I was former military, nothing in the IT space. I used to be a fighter pilot in the Air Force. So go blue for anybody that's on the call listening. Or I was an F-15C pilot, so that was my old helmet back in the day. They use a different mask today. This is ancient nowadays. And the gnome was he's carrying a helmet and mask as well. My wife found it and wanted to put it in the yard, and I said, no, 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 he's going in my office. So that's kind of what those are.
Tamer, thanks for joining me today. It's great to have you with me.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.